Did you know that right after he conquered Greece, Alexander the Great immediately set his sights on the east? In 335 BCE, the dust had barely settled on the razed city of Thebes when Alexander turned his gaze eastward. Now undisputed master of Greece and the Balkans, he set about fulfilling his late father, Philip II's dream of conquering the vast Achaemenid Persian Empire. The next several months stretched into the spring of 334 BC. It was a period of intense logistical preparation as Alexander marshaled his forces and resources for the monumental task ahead. He established a new naval base at the port of Myus, an important strategic move that would allow him to project power into the eastern Mediterranean and control the vital trade routes to Asia Minor. From here, he began the construction of a fleet of 200 ships, which would be essential for his invasion force. Meanwhile, he also took the time to consolidate his rule over his extensive domains, appointing trusted generals to key positions and securing alliances with potential enemies. One of these allies was the Kingdom of Bithynia, whose queen Ada had previously been betrothed to Alexander's brother Ptolemy. But now Alexander secured her hand in marriage for himself. With these preparations complete, he set out from Greece in the spring of 334 BCE with a massive army that has become a thing of legend. The dust had barely settled on the razed city of Thebes when Alexander the Great, now undisputed master of Greece and the Balkans, turned his gaze eastward. The year was 335 BCE. And the time had come to fulfill the Pan-Hellenic crusade envisioned by his father, Philip II, the invasion and conquest of the vast Achaemenid Persian Empire. The next several months, stretching into the spring of 334 BCE, were a period of meticulous planning and intense logistical preparation, as Alexander marshaled the forces and resources for this monumental undertaking. The strategic imperative was clear. Philip had already dispatched an advance force of some 10,000 Macedonians and mercenaries under his trusted generals Parmenion and Attalus to Asia Minor in 336 BCE. Their mission was to secure a bridgehead, begin liberating the Greek cities of Ionia, and prepare the ground for the main invasion. However, Philip's assassination and the subsequent murder of Attalus by Alexander's order had created uncertainty. While Parmenion remained loyal and continued operations, the Persian satraps in Asia Minor, under a new and energetic great king, Darius III, had begun to rally their forces. It was crucial for Alexander to cross into Asia with the main army as soon as possible to reinforce Parmenion and seize the initiative. The assembling of the invasion force was a colossal task. Alexander's army was not purely Macedonian. It was a combined Greek-co-Macedonian force, reflecting the structure of the League of Corinth. The core and most reliable component was the Macedonian army itself. The elite companion cavalry, the formidable sarissa-wielding phalanx of pesateroi foot companions, and the versatile hypaspists, shield-bearers. These were battle-hardened veterans, fiercely loyal to their young king. To this, contingents from the Greek city-states of the League were added: hoplites, cavalry, and other specialists. Thessaly, renowned for its horsemen, provided a significant cavalry force. Mercenaries, particularly from Thrace and other Balkan regions, also swelled the ranks, providing valuable light infantry and skirmishers. In total, the invasion force that would cross into Asia numbered around 30,000 to 40,000 infantry and 5,000 cavalry. A substantial army, but still significantly outnumbered by the potential forces the vast Persian Empire could muster. Logistics were a paramount concern. Supplying such an army across the sea and in hostile territory required immense planning. Ships had to be gathered to transport the troops, horses, and initial supplies across the Hellespont, the Dardanelles. A fleet of around 160 triremes and transport vessels was assembled, largely provided by the Greek allies, particularly Athens. Arrangements had to be made for ongoing supply lines, or, as was often Alexander's way, the army would have to live off the land, a risky proposition in enemy territory. Finances were also critical. Philip had left the Macedonian treasury depleted by his constant wars and preparations. Alexander reportedly started the campaign heavily in debt, distributing much of his remaining crown lands and revenues to his companions, famously remarking that he kept for himself only his hopes. Before departing, Alexander had to ensure the security and administration of Macedon and Greece during his potentially long absence. He appointed Antipater, one of Philip's most trusted and experienced generals, as regent of Macedon and Strategos, military governor of Europe. Antipater was given command of a substantial force, around 12,000 infantry and 1,500 cavalry, to maintain order in Greece, defend Macedon from any resurgent northern tribes, and deal with any internal dissent. This was a critical appointment, and Antipater would prove to be a loyal and capable steward, though his relationship with Alexander's mother, Olympias, who remained in Pella, would become increasingly strained. Alexander also made sure to perform the necessary religious rites and sacrifices. Appeasing the gods was essential for the success of any ancient undertaking, especially one as audacious as this. He offered sacrifices in Pella and at the ancient religious center of Dion, at the foot of Mount Olympus, invoking the protection of Zeus and other deities. He also sought favorable omens, which were duly reported by his seers. The propaganda aspect was also important. This was framed as a sacred war of revenge for past Persian sacrileges and a mission to liberate fellow Greeks. In the spring of 334 BCE, all was finally ready. The army marched from Pella to Amphipolis, and then to Sestos, on the European side of the Hellespont. Alexander himself, imbued with a profound sense of history and his own heroic destiny, made a symbolic detour. He visited Elias at the tip of the Thracian Chersonese, where he offered sacrifice at the tomb of Protesilaus, the first Greek to land and die at Troy during the Trojan War, seeking his blessing for a more fortunate landing in Asia. Then, with a keen sense of theater and emulating the heroes of old, Alexander himself steered his flagship across the Hellespont. As he approached the Asian shore, near the site of ancient Troy, he hurled his spear from the ship into the soil, claiming Asia as Spear-Won territory. He was the first to leap ashore in full armor, a symbolic act of taking possession. He immediately proceeded to the ruins of Troy, the legendary city of Homer's Iliad. There, he paid homage to his mythical ancestor Achilles, exchanging his own armor for what was said to be sacred armor of Achilles preserved in the temple of Athena. He laid wreaths on Achilles' tomb and honored Patroclus. He also honored Priam, the last king of Troy, at his altar, perhaps to avert any ill will from the fallen Trojan king against a descendant of his nemesis. These actions were deeply significant, linking his own expedition to the heroic age of Greece and casting himself as a new Achilles, embarking on a quest for glory and conquest in Asia. With these symbolic acts completed and his army successfully ferried across the Hellespont, Alexander the Great stood on Asian soil. He was 21 years old, commanding a veteran army driven by boundless ambition, and stepping into the vast, wealthy, and powerful Persian Empire. The preparations were over. The greatest military adventure in ancient history was about to begin. The eyes of Macedon, Greece, and Persia were upon him. The world would never be the same. Hope you enjoyed our video. For more such videos, like and subscribe our channel. Take good care of people and environment around you. Plant a tree, even if you see the day of judgment imminent, saying of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who also said, don't waste water, even if you're sitting next to a running stream. Got an idea to further improve our vlogs? Please do let me know in the comment box. Stay blessed always.